Blessed Tuesday to you as we come with your daily encouragement, and we are in 1 Peter 3. We're continuing on. Yesterday we talked about Jesus' descent to the dead, not to hell, but to the dead. There's a distinction that needs to be made there. You can listen to it on yesterday's daily encouragement. But before that, it says that Christ died for all. Then he descended to the dead, proclaiming that proclamation. And now we turn to verse 20, where it says, who in former times, talking about yesterday, those who are dead, did not obey when God waited patiently in the days of Noah during the building of the ark. Now, Peter limits it only to those who died before the ark, but it has usually been assumed that the dead, the place of the dead, Sheol, is for all people who died. Now, in the Old Testament, there isn't a clear distinction between those who lived righteously and those who did not. What we do have is a reminder we're not to contact the dead, but that they are also saying that their existence, I wouldn't say life, but their existence right now is not great, but they are telling the people who are living, at least that's what's happened in the Old Testament, that you should enjoy your life, because without your body, with this place that we're living, Sheol is not that great. But the good news we have is that Christ descended there. That's why we have it in the Apostles' Creed, even though it's a little shaky about whether it's the dead or the place of the inferno, as it has in Latin translation. But in the Greek translation, it is the place of the dead. And when Christ said it is finished, it means that he proclaimed to them, I am alive and I am risen. And the understanding is that he's taking the people that are there already to heaven. So that place of distinction is no more. In other words, Christ is the living. Christ is the proclaimer. Christ is the one who will let you rise. Now, we still have wonderment about what happens in between. The most biblical I have found is that we go to rest, our body goes to rest, our remains go to rest, but our spirit goes up to be with Jesus as we await the next chapter. Now, whether that is consciousness of what's happening with those living, I believe that there is some truth to that. I've had experience of that, and people have had enough testimonials of those who had recently died or those who had died being visited by them, proclaiming the resurrection. But there's also an understanding that it might be a time, as we say, rest in peace, that they are asleep and waiting for the consummation of everything to happen. This is an area we don't know a lot about, but Peter specifically says Jesus' victory was so complete, it involved the living and it involved even the dead, who will hear the proclamation directly from Jesus. And that's the teaching of Holy Saturday, that the proclamation is going down, even in the depths of Sheol or Hades. So who in former times did not obey when God patiently waited in the days of Noah during the building of the ark, in which a few, that is 8 persons, were saved through water. So what are they talking about? They're talking about those rescued through water, through Noah's ark. Talking about those who were obedient. Well, those specifically related to Noah. They were the ones who recognized that there was something that you needed to escape to at that time. And that was that God was building an ark to save us. Now, Peter does not stop there with just the story of the ark. He reminds us that there is a new ark that saves us. A new ark involving water. And you might ask, what is it? Well, let's do 2 verses today. We're in 20, it says. Now let's go to 21. It says, and baptism, which this prefigured, meaning that the ark prefigured baptism, now saves you, not with the removal of dirt from the body, but an appeal to God for a good conscience through the what? Resurrection of Jesus Christ. There's a lot going on there. Let's break it down. It is baptism that is prefigured in the ark. And that's why sometimes the church is depicted as a boat, not unlike Noah's ark. It is the ark that is going to save you, is going to reach out with the life preservers through the waters of baptism. So the people of Noah's ark were saved through water, so the people of God will be saved through the waters of baptism. Now, once again, Pastor, I thought we were only saved by justification by faith, by God's grace, by God's hand alone. And that's it. If you believe baptism is the hand of God, then it is by God's hand alone. If you believe that it's your own human work, then we're justified by works. You see, there's a difference when we say, I don't believe in justification by works. It means our works. And so that's where the baptism debate gets in there. Is baptism an act of God? The Catechism teaches that. At least Luther concluded that. It took me years. Okay, I have Baptist relatives, so we struggled with that. I struggled with that for many years, and I didn't always see the fruits of baptism in those who were baptized or even confirmed. I have a picture of 87 of my classmates. And I look at it every day and I wonder, where are the fruits? Where are the fruits? I'm not seeing it. But God is at work with them. And you got to take the long view that God is at work in baptism, is in work of when we make even a tepid confession of faith, as we do in confirmation sometimes. But God is at work rescuing people, taking them from the waters of death. You see, Noah's Ark prefigured that. And Peter says that here. And baptism, which this is prefigured, now saves you. Okay? Could have a fun debate with my Baptist friends with that one. Peter is saying that. Baptism, which this is prefigured, now saves you. Not with just removal of dirt for a good conscience, because baptisms sometimes as adults were done. John's baptism was a baptism of repentance, of conscious turning away. But John the Baptist said, I need to be baptized by Jesus. There is a greater baptism, and this baptism isn't inaugurated by our turning of conscience. It's inaugurated by the hand of God coming in. And it is not just the removal of the body as an appeal to God for a good conscience. I'm appealing and saying, Lord, make me good. But no, it is a rescuing hand through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, well, Pastor, that's just one verse. Are there other verses? Absolutely. If we have been baptized in a baptism like his, we will surely rise in a resurrection like his. Paul says that in Romans. Many others where Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10, where it says, just as the people of God were saved through the waters of the Red Sea, so God saves you through the waters of baptism. I mean, it's all over. And they baptized people of all ages because they weren't concerned about their response yet. They were concerned about God's saving hand. And the sacraments, now, doesn't mean that it only comes through baptism and Holy Communion. It can come through the Word of God speaking to you through Scriptures. Or a good pietist like Hans Nielsen Hauge in Norway, who was not even in the immediate vicinity of a church, but was plowing his field, and he heard the voice of God. The voice of God and the hand of God are the instruments of God, are what save us. And that is where we're called to trust in them. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.